chillin' on the moon, just reflecting on my past life. Queens call me in to beat that womb to see if we can dance like a symmetry, triple balance in my seat. Spirits call me to who teaches, my good sis will be back soon. I'm busy chillin' on the moon, just reflecting on my past life. Queens call me in to beat that womb to see if we can dance right. Asymmetry, triple balance in my seat. Spirits call me to who teaches, my good sis will be back soon. I'm busy chillin' on the moon. Welcome to Synchronicity, the podcast where we know that nothing is a coincidence, everything is intentional. We have 7 circles, aka Jonathan, the very awesome numerology man. I mean, he's very many things, but today we're focusing on numerology and specifically how numbers make elements make sense and how his relationship with numbers has helped him make his life make sense. And that whole relationship really comes from connecting not with the matrix, not with R.E.A.L.M, like we've gone very deep in. He didn't go learn a bunch of stuff from R.E.A.L M. He learned it from his spirit. That's where we got to learn about space. We got to learn about the universe, and we have communication. So how are you feeling today, Jonathan? Thank you for joining us.
Feeling incredible. And thank you for having me back. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Yeah, today I just really wanted, because you've already told me your story behind the scenes, but if we could flesh out the details basically of your transformative time out in the wilderness, living basically off the grid, as I guess Kanye would say.
Absolutely. So you want me to start from like ground zero and kind of like go into it, or you want me just to kind of give it to you in a nutshell?
Well, I know it started with visions, but as far as what made those visions matter before you even get into the visions, start at ground zero.
Yes. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm just like any other person. I mean, just except for the fact that I was homeschooled. I was born at home, raised a vegetarian, raised not to have a religion, didn't watch much TV. And then in addition to that, didn't celebrate holidays. So those would be the only things that kind of make me different than the average person. Mm-hmm. But I was slow when it came to talking to women and things of that nature. So I didn't have my first girlfriend until about the age of 17. But then once that happened, I began to get really interested in females. So, I ended up moving a lot of times. When I came to Atlanta, Georgia, I ended up meeting this one girl. I'm not going to say her name just for the purpose of this episode.
Yeah, if she comes up a lot, you can give her a fake name. Yeah,
probably. So she was the type of woman that was like, I tell you off and blah, 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 right? She was one of those type of women. Mm-hmm. And at that point in my life, I was attracted to those type of women. There was something spicy about them that I liked a whole bunch. But as you know, if you eat too much spicy food, maybe you can get heartburn or something like that, right? So these things could come to get you. So
get irritated.
Absolutely. So I'm going to be completely transparent and completely vulnerable, as I think this might help somebody perhaps on the other side who is watching this. And I don't think that it's necessary to hold anything back, as it never is, as people can learn from each other's experiences.
Right.
So at this time in my life, I would say that I was a little bit jealous, as she was as well too, right? Like attracts like. And she was in communication with one of her old friends.
And we know that jealous is generally attached to insecure.
Yeah.
Because you can only feel jealous about something if you're not fully secure in who you are. Know thyself. So you did not know thyself at this point.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not. So she was in communication with one of her old flames or whatever. She told me she wasn't. She told me she wasn't anymore. And
when they lie, that's just whack. Like now you kind of like, you don't have security. Now we see like where jealousy has to come out. Like the security of the relationship is keeping the truth.
Right. I mean, but then it could even go into, was I the one actually creating that? Did my insecurity make her to, make her do what she did?
Right.
But that's a different story. But anyway, looking into her phone, I found out that it wasn't true, that she was in communication with him. He lived like 2 states away or something like that, a couple of hours away. And anyway, she grabbed the phone from me, and then she ended up like punching me as I kind of held the phone down. So the way she got it was she like was kind of rough, right? She ended up giving me a black eye, and you guys can see my complexion. So it was definitely like a hard punch, and
Really black.
yeah, it's really really embarrassing, right, to walk around like that, right? So she ended up leaving the house, whatever, it was my house. I think I kicked her out, um, and shortly thereafter, my mom came, my little brother came, my youngest brother, and I remember me crying just like a little bitch, and my house was a mess, whatever. Mom helped me clean it up. I'm not a mama's boy, by the way, but it's just interesting how that went down. After they left, anyway, my house was nice and clean. On my porch, on my deck, I had a fish tank, about a 15 to 10 gallon fish tank. I had some vegetables in it. I used it as a starter, like a nursery, because it would be the greenhouse effect. You can get sun coming in, but then you would create a nice environment. So, um, I think it was the day prior to that. What I did was, in my backyard was a lot of grass, etc. This is in Atlanta, Georgia, and I would go back there and check things out. One time I went back there and there was a puddle of water that kind of had like some motor oil or something in it. It looked like it was dirty anyway, and there was a frog in it, and the frog didn't look like he was in the best of shape. So what I did was I actually put the frog. I took him, put him on my hand, and I attempted to bring him up to my fish tank so that he could rejuvenate inside of that greenhouse effect and be taken care of, So there was a fence that was kind of guarding the area, and I hopped over the fence, pretty agile. I hopped over the fence. It's probably about 6 feet, 7 feet tall. And when I hopped off, the frog was still on my hand, literally like this, imagining this was the frog, and it didn't fall off. So I looked at it and I was like, oh, cool. You know what I'm saying? And I ended up putting it up there. So fast forward back to the day when my mom helped me clean up and all of that went down with my girl. I'm standing out on the porch, highly emotional because of everything that went down. I got a black eye, mom, blah, 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 crying, right? And I remember I just kept saying, like, I need a sign, I need a sign, I need a sign, I need a sign. My life wasn't going the way that I wanted it to go. And this was in 2008, so this was around the time when we had the big crash and all that kind of stuff. And while I was outside on my porch, and I looked up in the sky, just looked up, and then what I seen an image appeared, and it literally just appeared, and the image was of an older guy, kind of looked like a Greek, like Roman type of guy, one of those type of pictures, and he had like curly beards, whatever, long hair. And then I seen another one after I didn't believe it. Another one popped up, which was similar, but not exactly the same. Then I remember saying out loud, like, yeah, right. I don't believe this guy. I don't believe this.
So 2 wise men.
2 wise men. Absolutely. And then when I was like, I don't believe this. What happened was a third image popped up, and it was an image of my hand, and on my hand was the frog on it. And these pictures were so vivid and they were so clear. Even if I was to turn away, right, and turn back around and look back up, the image was still there. It was still there, right? And keep in mind, I was never really into drugs and nothing like that. Right. I did smoke weed, but at that time I wasn't smoking weed or anything like that. Or I wasn't high that day, should I say, because I did smoke weed around that time. But that's what I seen. So when I seen that of the frog on my hand, I was like, what does this mean? What does this mean? I went into my room, sat down on my bed, and I just closed my eyes and said, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? And then my inside voice, or my higher self, or whatever you want to call it, said that you need to leave, you need to go. And it was just clear, and it was just definite. And I don't know why, but I trusted it. And I ended up, to make a long story short, I ended up taking items with me, such as a small tent, a blanket, 2 pairs of sweatpants. What else did I have? I had a handful of almonds, 3 apples, a water bottle that had an attachment to it where you wouldn't get any metal. I still have the water bottle, and a couple other objects. So literally like a backpack and some other things. And one time it was like, I guess this was fast forward about a week, 2 weeks later, I ended up quitting my job. I had a corporate job at that time. I ended up telling my brothers and sisters that come from a family of 7, including me, that they can have all my personal belongings. So they begin to take everything. Like, oh, Jonathan's crazy. He's leaving R. They took TVs and all kinds of stuff, clothes, etc. My car gave it up. It just gave everything up. So it sounds crazy, right? But for real.
Right.
And one morning, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I just said to
Damn.
myself, like, it's time. And I just opened my door and left and began walking. And my spirit led me into the woods. And I walked probably about, I want to say, I don't know, man, maybe like 3 minutes into the woods or something like that. And I ended up just going to sleep. And then the next morning I woke up and I'm like, this is where my life starts, you know? And yeah.
Whoa. Did
Yeah,
you
yeah.
like abandon your home basically then?
Yeah, so I still had the keys, and when I came back, because I only stayed in there 2 months.
Okay.
I think the process was something that it took like 3 months in order for them to totally evict you. But I had all kinds of signs and all kinds of things on my door or whatever, and I did stay at the house for a little bit, when I came back, and then I ended up moving in with the same girl who
Mm-hmm.
punched me. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So, what a crazy experience, right? So, I guess I'll dig into this experience a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I know we don't have much time left. I actually see the time coming down.
Yeah, then we'll come back. I don't know why, but it was short this time.
Yeah. So the experience, a couple of things that I want to point out. When I first walked into the woods, a big thing that was on my mind the night when I did was Freddy Krueger and Jason, thinking that some big monster is gonna come out and kill me. And I remember saying to myself, like, this is my mind, this is not me. And then it just went away. The second day
Mm-hmm.
when I woke up and I was trying to figure out where to go, a snake kept popping up in my mind. And I'm like, oh man, I hope I don't get bit by a snake. It was like tall grass. This was about April, I would say.
Hmm.
And I went walking deep and deep and deep into the grass, and then shortly thereafter, there was this big snake, maybe 3-4 feet in length, all black, and it comes my way. And I just stay still, and
Whoa.
it passes right through me, and then I'm like, and I turn back around,
Through
right?
you? Or
And
like
like,
between your legs?
yeah, like between my legs, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was the second time this happened in my life. The first time it happened was in the Poconos, so I already kind of knew how to handle that. But
Wow.
yeah, when I was in there, and this probably was about 3 weeks to a month when I was in there. It's kind of hard to keep track of time, right? Because we don't have the calendar, and the calendar is just the control mechanism as well as the
Mm-hmm.
clock. Maybe we can talk about that. But
Mm-hmm.
when I was in there, I remember just smacking mosquitoes all the time, and then after a while, I just had to give up, right? And I remember
Wow.
looking at my legs after
That's a nightmare.
big nightmare. Looking at my legs and just sitting down, and there were literally anywhere between 60 to 100 mosquitoes on my leg just sucking. And I remember just going like this. And when I went like that, like blood just smeared. And I'm just like, like, what am I doing, you know? And these were some tough times for me. I remember getting smart climbing up a tree. And when I climbed up the tree, I noticed that the mosquitoes didn't come up in the tree. I would go around to another area, and to another area, there was some water there. And dragonflies like to hang out there. And I noticed that they didn't come where the dragonflies came. Later
Ah,
on, I think I found out that dragonflies eat mosquitoes. I think I heard this
exactly.
somewhere. Yeah, so that was interesting, right? Just so many cool experiences, man. The animals were afraid of me. There were rabbits that lived over there, birds, as well as this one deer that would constantly circle around. He was just by himself. But after I was there for a while, for about a month, I guess you could say, the animals, they just accepted me as one of them. You know, they
Hmm.
weren't afraid of me anymore, anything like that.
Yeah, they got tired of being scared.
I mean, like, I'm here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a beautiful thing. One really event that really changed me, and I try to sum this up really quickly.
Mm.
There was this one night, and this is where I begin. This is why I think that everything really changed my mind. Was something shifted inside of me. It was this one night. It probably had to be like 2 o'clock in the morning, dark, cold, and it began to rain. If you know anything about when it rains in Atlanta, Georgia, oh, it rains in Atlanta, Georgia, and thundering rain, and it's the middle of the night, and I'm like, oh shit, and I'm in the middle of nowhere. So what I did have with me, and I put out a little emergency blanket, one of those aluminum foil looking blankets that I took with me. Uh,
Mm.
Maybe we should stop it right here. because I see
We'll be
that
right back. Yeah,
time running down. Yeah.
we'll be right back. Yeah.